This is Brian Mahoney, the president. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This is Brian Mahoney, the president of Bergen Catholic, and with us tonight is Beth Walter, our director of college counseling. We're delighted you're here tonight. This is a very important night for everyone. And just a quick reminder before I turn it over to our resident expert, Beth Walter, I want to remind you that on Thursday night, we're going to have our wine and cheese for the freshman parents. And that's at 7 p.m. Here in a StreamYard-like platform and Zoom platform they'll be sharing with you shortly. So enjoy your time with Beth Walter tonight. And thank you so much for being part of the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, for joining us and for coming on this evening. I want to welcome you to your first experience with the college counseling program here at Bergen Catholic High School. And I really don't have a formal presentation for you to listen to tonight. I just want to talk a little bit about what our program does and how we help you through this process in the planning of college and, trying to get you acclimated to the high school environment, things that are expected, things that can be done to enhance your overall experience here in high school, and then to be ready when the time comes to actually apply to college. So I'm going to talk a little bit about freshman year, sort of some of the expectations that we have of you and that hopefully you have of yourself. And things that might help you when you get ready to actually fill out that first application and embark on the college application journey in the beginning of your senior year, rather. So as a freshman, the things that are the most important, which I'm sure you have been made aware of, are grades. So we ask that students really do take the most rigorous classes that they can and do the best they can in them. We want you to challenge yourself with coursework that is certainly appropriate for the level that you are at academically. But if there is the opportunity to do something that's a little bit more challenging, we encourage you to do that as well. Students come in obviously at one level or the other, whether that's math or an honors level or a CP level. And, we do offer, several levels here in the high school. So we hope that you will take advantage of that. So let's just say, you begin coming in as a freshman in mostly CP classes. Well, the next year, obviously, you want to encourage your student to look at maybe taking an honors course, and then the following year, maybe an AP course. But back to grades, right? So we are definitely a school that likes to see students with a 92 or better in order to progress to that next level. So making sure that kids are staying, on top of their grades, on top of their homework, not getting behind, all of the things that a guidance counselor would tell you, I'm going to tell you as well, because for 15 years before I took on this position, I was a guidance counselor. And that was something, obviously, that was very, very important when I would meet with all of my students. So the guidance department and I work very closely together, and we are sort of a hand-in-hand team, which is nice. So while the guidance counselors will provide the day-to-day advisement in terms of grades and, teacher issues that, you might have, I sort of am here as a sounding board for the counselors to give advice for certain things like course placements, whether a student should be challenging themselves in one area or the other. To make sure that the coursework that the student is taking is appropriate for maybe a certain major. And we bounce ideas off of one another quite a bit. And so when it comes time, obviously, for the college application process to start, or at least the college search process to start, we're talking a lot to one another. And we're saying, okay, well, Johnny Jones might have, a 96 average and he wants to be an engineer. What are some things that he might be able to start doing to kind of hone his application towards, a high tier engineering school? So we'll talk about certain things such as the ACT or the SAT, which is a better test for them, and how to go about preparing for that test at the next level. We'll talk about certain things such as summer programs, enrichment opportunities for the student. So all of those things, we're constantly going back and forth with. A lot of programs will come in across my desk that will say, hey, do you have a sophomore who's interested in business? And I will send that to the counselors, and we'll come up with a list of students who we would like to recommend, for that specific program. And that's how we end up, passing those opportunities on to the students. My role here is really to be, an advocate for students and, a resource for you as parents to ask questions as we go along. While I won't see the freshmen and sophomores on a daily basis or even maybe a monthly basis, my door is always open to them and to you to have a meeting, to have an email exchange. If you have a question about something, I'm always happy to give you my advice and input on something. And like I said, the counselors and I work closely together, so we are always in touch. And if there's something that I don't know, I will go to them and vice versa. Another thing that is really important about the early process of the college application and search process is the finding a craft that the student really is good at and passionate about. And I always joke with the kids and I say, it doesn't really matter to me whether you're the best bird watcher in all of Bergen County, as long as you're the best at something. Find something that you love and build a profile around that. It used to be, 5, 10, 15 years ago, colleges were looking for that well-rounded student. So someone who had, excellent grades and a resume that was 5 pages long. And while that still is true to some extent, colleges do like to see a multifaceted type of student. They also like to see someone who really knows what they want and what they're passionate about. So, if you're someone who really loves debate and you think, hey, maybe I want to be a prosecutor, find ways to really build your profile around that. So, maybe you're a kid who loves debate and you're a swimmer. Those become your 2 things that you spend the majority of your time doing. So in the summertime, you're going to swim camp. In the summer, you're doing, long course training. In the summer, you're working with a private coach to perfect what you do. You're going to Georgetown and you're doing a summer program in pre-law. You're doing a class with Brown over the school year for, dual enrollment credit. You're on our mock trial team. You're interning over the summer, maybe between sophomore and junior year at the courthouse. So figure out what those things are and find a way to build around that. Because when it comes time for college, you not only have a time and a place to sort of say, hey, this is where I started and this is where I am now. You can show that progression of the things that you were interested in and how you actually went about building onto those interests. And I think that that's really fascinating. I have kids who have a passion for community service, and they start off doing maybe service in their local community or their school community, and then they build it larger the following year and looking into the maybe the county at large, and then they go even bigger. They maybe go on a service trip or a mission trip, and then maybe eventually they end up going out of the country, or they find something that they're feeling really, really passionate about, like maybe it's Operation Smile, or maybe it's Habitat for Humanity. Finding a cause that you truly love and you feel very strongly about what it stands for, and showing that you've done it for 4 years consecutively and that you've gone bigger each year is also a really great way to show continuity and to show passion about something and to show leadership. Leadership is really a tough thing to show outwardly in your resume. So everyone wants to be the president and the vice president of a club, right? But there's only 4 spots for each club. And while we have a lot here, there's other ways to show that leadership. And so that's one example. I've had kids who, are passionate about, Habitat for Humanity and became, the liaisons for the county and would go to Paramus and became the head of Habitat for Humanity for all of the youth in Bergen County, which was like a great leadership opportunity, right? So it was out of the school. It was actually at the county level, and then brought back all kinds of really great things to the school and to the peers that that she went to school with, to be able to actually interact and be in that club, which was a really just a great thing. Anytime you can do anything that is outside of yourself, that's looked upon very fondly when the college application process rolls around. Colleges like to see that you have been able to look beyond, your bubble here. At Bergen Catholic and in Bergen County, or whatever county in New Jersey or New York you live in, because certainly there's a big world out there, and they like to see that you're able to look outside of yourself and find something that you really can give back. And obviously, being a Christian Brothers school, we encourage that as well, and we love to see community service. I think it really does help develop the whole person, and for me, it's not just about putting it on your resume. It's about really figuring out who you are and being able to, fall in love with something that is, really important or close to your heart. So those are kind of the things that the three tiers, if you will. I like to see, again, grades, academics, right? So that's the kind of the foundation. Freshman and sophomore year, you're building the foundation that can never be undone. So when you submit that transcript, freshman year and sophomore year, we can do a lot of things to help you get into a college. But the one thing I can never do is go back for you and redo the courses that you've taken and the grades that you've gotten in them. So it's really important that, you are taking the time to make sure that your groundwork is good. The second thing is finding something you're passionate about. So sports, clubs, activities, whatever it is, bird watching, be the best at it, or at least be the most passionate about it, and be able to say why you love it, and why you're the most passionate about it. I hear kids say, oh, well, I'm doing that for my college resume. Please don't do that. And please encourage your sons to find something they truly love, because when it comes time to apply for college, if you've done something for 4 years and you've hated every minute of it, it's going to be very evident that that's the case. So again, find something that you truly are, that you love to do every day, because that really is the secret, I think, of becoming, happy in your pursuit for, finding sort of that it factor that I always say. And then the third thing is the community service, the commitment to the community, your commitment to yourself, and obviously as a Christian Brothers school, we love to see you giving back. And so again, like I said, we're here to guide you. There are thousands of opportunities here at Bergen Catholic in those areas, in academics, in the sports, the clubs, the activities, and then also in the community service, the mission, and the larger community that we have here to offer. So every student, as a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, is able to participate in that activity period. Certainly things this year are a little bit strange, so everything is a little bit askew. I'm hoping that things get back to normal soon, and that we have more of a normal environment for everybody to sort of interact with and be, back into the groove of things. But we're still plugging along with the activities. So kids are still able to get involved and, have a club or two or three that they really can sort of sink their teeth into, and explore a little bit of what that has to offer. Certainly go bigger if you can. You're not going to be able to be, out in the community right now with everything with COVID, but, do what you can. Look for online opportunities. As we get them, I pass them on. There's a Blackboard link on every student's Blackboard page for college counseling. And so as I get invites or I get opportunities for things, I have Mrs. Sorrentino, our Director of Communications, post them there. So you can take a look at that. I encourage you to be involved with Naviance. Explore it as a parent, explore it as a student. Go on and play with it. There's a lot of different tabs on there that can help you sort of start to figure out what you might want to do career-wise, what your personality type is. And so therefore, you can start looking at some of those, career exploration tabs that we have there. There's also a resume tab that allows you to put in some things that you've done. And I encourage all students to start doing that. that as soon as possible, because by the time senior year rolls around, it's going to be really hard for you to remember what you have done or what you haven't done. So, it's one of those things. It's like, oh yeah, what did I do freshman year, Mom? So if you're writing it down, or at least you're keeping it in the resume tab in Naviance, you have something to go back and take a look at. And then the other thing is trying to really develop relationships with your teachers. I know it's difficult right now being sort of hybrid and, in and out of the building, but there's some really great people here who have skills in a lot of different areas. So, if you're into robotics, start, becoming friendly with Mr. Rusaretto or Mr. Patel. They have a lot of life lessons that they can share with you. Certainly, they're going to be able to give you some recommendations on some great summer programs or some great clubs that you could be involved in, or things that you could do on your own if that's something that you really love. So start to really get to know the people here. They want nothing more than to help you. And like I said, we're a big family here, and there's nothing that any one of us wouldn't do for a student if asked. So if you want to start a club, come and ask someone. Again, there's something for everybody. So please take advantage of that. I'm going to open it up to questions and answers now. I've been talking for 15 minutes, so I'm sure you're bored with what I'm saying. So I'm going to open it up to you, and to really kind of have this be kind of a comfortable environment. So if anybody has any questions for me about sort of what our program is, recommendations of what you should be doing, and how we can help you, I'm happy to take those questions now. You can just type them into the chat, and I'm happy to answer. Okay, so we have no questions. So I will put into the chat myself my contact information. So for anybody who would like to reach out to me, you can certainly do that. Let's see here. Okay, question. Are they going to run the activity block in the hybrid model? So it's my understanding that that they are. I know that Mr. Rusaretto, who is our director of activities, has given that information has been given out. I just don't know exactly what the start date is. So that is something that is coming. I'm not sure exactly how it's getting fit into the schedule. Generally, we do it on a Tuesday or a Thursday, the last period of the day. And so it's nice because it's right before athletics or activities that the kids might have in the afternoon. But again, I'm not sure exactly how we're fitting it in. I do know that it's in the works, though. It's coming. Let's see. Naviance. So Naviance, I will send out the link after, and it's ID, so I and then D dot Naviance, which is NAVIANCE.com. And you should have gotten all of that information from the director of technology. So all of the passwords, all of the information for Naviance was all given to you in the beginning of the year. So when it came with your PowerSchool login and your Blackboard login, it's all there. So you should be able to get that. Okay, let's see. How do we know what after-school activities are available at the moment? So the activities page, so Mr. Rusaretto is our director of activities, and he sent out to the boys a couple of weeks ago the list of all of the activities and how to access them. So you want to ask your sons to look for an email from Mr. Rusaretto because he sent them the link to everything so they could go through and they could take a look and that they could sign up for whatever activities clubs they wanted, whatever they have interest in. So given COVID is mock trial and other clubs still going on. So yes, I just don't know the parameters of such. So we're obviously taking our, rules, if you will, from the governor. As of right now, a lot of the indoor things are, put on hold. But I do believe that, we'll be doing things on a modified schedule. And I know that, we're working, obviously the school day and everything else like that is our priority, but we are working on making sure that everybody has the opportunity to get involved. Let's see. Okay, activities are in school, so they are not after school. So we build it in so that it's the last period of the day on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it's generally from like 1 o'clock to 1:30, and it's throughout the building. And again, with the hybrid model, it's going to be a little different than it normally does, but I do know that it's in the works and it's something that's coming. Let's see. The internship opportunities will be posted. So we don't offer any internships here within the school, but if anyone from the outside says to us, hey, like I'm looking for a Bergen kid who might be interested in the summer to work at, UBS in the city. They'll give us the information and we'll post it, and we'll post it on Naviance. There's links there for scholarships, for internships, for all sorts of summer programs, and it's a running Google Doc. So every time we get something, it gets posted on that, and you can access it all through Naviance, but you can also access it through your son has a Blackboard page, and on the Blackboard page, it's in the under Crusader College Counseling. There'll be a link there for you, and you can access everything in there. So that's, like I said, when scholarship time comes junior year, you'll be able to access that. You can access all the summer programs. So as soon as we start getting that information out, we'll get that. Okay, just want to confirm, should my son contact his counselor if he already knows his career choice and school, or contact you? So the guidance counselors are your first line of contact, especially freshman and sophomore year. Basically, I am here like as an advisor, so I oversee all of the college counseling that's going on, and I oversee sort of what the counselors are doing from a college counseling perspective. The counselors certainly are responsible for a lot of other things, and right now in the process, you'll deal with them more so than you would deal with me at the upper level. When your son becomes a junior, you will interact with me a lot more, and the counselor generally a lot less. So right now, when you're looking at placements for courses, while I advise them, they're the ones that you'll be going to first. So if you have an issue with a teacher, you'll go to them first. If you have, an issue with, hey, my son should be in honors, not in CP, you'll go to them first, and they'll help you deal with the subject area supervisor to help change the level. So, I handle things such as the dual enrollment program. So when your sons are juniors and seniors, we have quite a robust program with a couple of universities which allow your kids to take coursework here and get college credit. So I had that program. I take care of the all of the college, everything with college. So all the college reps, all of the programs of people that are coming here that we're setting up. I do everything that has to do with athletics and college counseling. So if a student is being a recruited athlete, the recruiting coaches will often contact me, and I will help with the academic piece of the recruitment process. So again, I'm not as involved freshman and sophomore year. I'm certainly I'm kind of looking down, making sure that everyone's getting the foundation at this point, and advising the counselors. And certainly I'm happy to advise you. But your first go-to for the next 2 years really is your guidance counselor, because that's the person who your son's going to see the most. And so, yes, I encourage your son to reach out to your counselor. If you don't know who they are, certainly that's something we need to fix. I'm hoping that everyone has their counselor assignments, and that's something that you should be very comfortable with knowing who your counselor is. And if you don't know and you really feel like, hey, I'd like to know them, please reach out. Their doors are always open in a physical sense in a non-COVID time. Obviously, right now, everyone is taking virtual meetings whenever requested. So, myself, I'm booked into the last week of November already. So, please reach out to the counselors and say, hey, I'd like to schedule a Zoom meeting with you and my son, just so that we can get to know you and you can get to know him, and figure out like what they're interested in, and like what the likes and the dislikes are. Because I think the more you know the counselor and the counselor knows you, the better relationship you have. And therefore, when things come up, opportunities for different programs, the counselor can say, oh, yes, I know Jimmy. He's really interested in engineering, and he would love to have an opportunity to do X, Y, or Z. So certainly the more we know, the better. But, when you have, many students, it's hard to know that unless the students are reaching out and there's that sort of reciprocal dialogue. Let's see. Appointments with your office already set up, or do students need to reach out? So generally, if you'd like to have a meeting with me, my assistant is Mary Patera, who is the out in the main office, and you can call her and say, hey, I'd like to set up a meeting with Mrs. Walter and my son. And generally what happens is she will schedule something during the boys' lunch, or she'll schedule something at the end of the school day. And that's, at this point, we're doing Zoom meetings. I will say that I am booked pretty solid right now, just because it's crunch time for seniors, and I do have a lot of juniors that are already sort of starting the process. So if she can't get you in right away, please be patient. I'm happy to meet with you, but just this time of year is very, very busy. So if you could just be patient a couple of weeks, that really would help all of us. In the meantime, the counselors certainly are processing college applications, but they don't have necessarily the parent meeting commitment that I do. So they might be able to see you sooner. Not that I'm not happy to do that, but you might be able to get in with them quicker than with me. Okay. When can I have the opportunity to switch from remote to hybrid? That's something that you would reach out to Mr. McElhenney, our principal. He can take care of doing that. I know that the list is very fluid of going from remote to hybrid and back and forth. So certainly just reach out to Mr. McElhenney and via email, and just let them know that's something you'd like to do. And I'm sure he'll let you know what to do. I think it's not that difficult. Okay, should we fill in my son's answers to the questions on Naviance? That's really for you. That doesn't go anywhere else. Certainly the counselors see it. I can see it at any time, but that's really for you to sort of explore this whole process. If you'd like to go through and do the resume and to do the questionnaires and everything, that's just, again, for you to get the opportunity to, do that career exploration. The counselors will be going into the classrooms, both for freshmen and for sophomores, to talk about things such as career exploration. And they will go through these prompts with the boys, and they will explain to them, what it is that they should be looking at and what they should be doing. So that will happen. I do know that general guidance meetings with freshmen and sophomores will be happening as well. As soon as we get through this first wave of college applications, after November 1st, that's generally when the counselors start doing their classroom visits. I have been in the classroom for seniors because that's, again, right now, that's my focus. But the underclassmen will have classroom visits from the guidance counselors in a group setting. And then they also should be meeting with them one-on-one to have, either an in-person or a Zoom. If you haven't had that yet, please make sure that you reach out to them and just say that you would like it. And obviously they'll put you at the front of the list. It will happen, or it should happen. They do reach out to the boys, and sometimes the boys are not so great about checking their email. We encourage, especially right now, because we are hybrid and it's harder, to get a hold of them if they're not in the building. So we really are relying a lot on email to send, a link. Hey, this is when I'd like to see you. The boys do have to be responsible about, checking the email and then clicking on that link and actually going on virtually. Anytime, I have a student, usually seniors right now, they'll go into the library and they'll put in headphones, and then we'll have a meeting virtually. And that seems to be working well. Okay, let's see. One of the first opportunities to take the SAT and the ACT. So obviously the SAT and ACT is given, pretty much monthly. It alternates back and forth. In fact, today I actually gave the ACT to our seniors sort of as a favor to them, because so many test sites have been closed because of COVID. So we had 54 kids take it today, 54 seniors. So, I would not recommend doing the actual ACT or SAT until the junior year. In certain circumstances, sophomore year could be warranted, but generally most kids don't have the math level yet. So I would encourage that you take the PSAT in the beginning of the sophomore year. You get your results in December of sophomore year, and then you take a look at what that looks like. And from there, you can figure out, hey, I'm at the above average or, level for my grade level. And then you look at getting a tutor at that point, and you go off of that to start the tutoring process. If you wanted to take an ACT to compare the two, you could do that. We are hopefully going to be giving a pre-ACT Next year, I wanted to do it this year, but with COVID, we can't do it with the spacing. So I'm hoping for next year that we'll have the opportunity for the current freshmen to take a pre-ACT and a PSAT, and then you'll be able to compare the two scores. Once you have those scores, then you can start looking at tutoring, but I wouldn't take the actual SAT or ACT until the junior year. I like kids to take it around December of junior year. I think that's when you're most likely to do the best. I think kids are the most motivated at that point. Okay, so yes, there's an opportunity to take the PSAT before junior year. We give it to all sophomores. The sophomores will be getting it this year in January. Summer, do you suggest working or participating in a college summer program for high school students or something else? You know, in an ideal world, I would like for kids to do all of the above. I like to see them, have a job. I think that's very important. Certainly, college summer programs are great. It gives the kids the opportunity to look at something that might be academically not something that they can get here at Bergen Catholic. So, we don't have a business program. So, if you're interested in doing something with business, go take a marketing class somewhere. Go do something with entrepreneurship, finance. There's a lot of things that you can sort of round your application out with academically in the summertime. And, there's a lot of, areas like I said, Georgetown obviously has a great law school. So, Georgetown Law is going to have a lot of opportunities for kids that might be interested in that field. Johns Hopkins has a lot of things for kids interested in the medical field. So there's a lot of different things that you could look at. And I would encourage you to do that. I think that this summer between, you only really have 3 summers to take advantage of. So in an ideal world, I like to see kids do summer programs, an internship, and then some sort of work experience. Volunteer work in there is also good. But, I like to see, a really robust, resume, because I think that if you're applying to really competitive colleges, you need to have that. So I'm able to see what kids are doing from other schools. And so, I obviously want our kids to be the most competitive on paper. So, I recommend a lot of things, but it obviously depends on the student and what they're capable of doing. What AP classes are offered for sophomores? So right now, currently, it depends obviously where you come in and what your ability level is, but the most popular AP class for sophomores would be modern European history. That's typically the most popular course right now. I would say that, and then junior and senior year is really where you see the majority of kids taking AP classes. Yes, there are ACT and SAT prep classes. Our program offers 4 classes throughout the year, free of charge to Bergen students. We just finished up an ACT prep course because obviously we gave the ACT today, and then we'll be doing another one in the spring. 2 more, really, the winter and then the spring. And then obviously we go into our summer where we do a summer SAT, which is a little bit longer. So I would say for most of you on this call, that would be the one you would want to look into. And, that's a really great opportunity to work with 2 of our spectacular veteran teachers here who've been, teaching SAT and ACT prep for a really long time. And they're very proud of the results that the kids get. I think a lot of times parents send their kids up for the program because it's free and then the kids don't show up. But the kids that do come and actually really put in the time and effort do very well in it. Let's see. When do they start and are they in school? They are not in school, they're after school. So generally we run them during the activity period. Obviously right now things are a little bit weird. So this last session ran from 3 to 4:30 Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I put a letter out basically that says, we're offering an ACT or SAT prep class. Here's a Google form, please sign up. And then we've been running this past one ran virtually. Is there a resume builder and template in Naviance? There absolutely is. When will the sophomores take the PSAT? In January. So the juniors just finished last week. And so they are, those are on the way back to the College Board to be scored. And then January, just because of COVID, we didn't have the space to be able to test both classes at the same time. Generally we do, but this year we had to move the test. So that will be in January for the sophomores. Will the sophomores get a pre-ACT in January too? As of right now, no. I would love to offer that. However, as of right now, that is not on the docket. But, certainly is something that I would love to do. And I know that that's something Mr. McElhenney and I have spoken about, several times. Obviously, I think right now we're trying to make sure that, we have the space in the building covered, and we're handling that appropriately. So we're going to make sure that, we do things the right way. If a student has a 90 plus average in a subject for the year and is interested in taking an honors class, do they need to ask for it, or will it just be put in their schedule for the following year? So I would say that's 50-50. It really depends on the kind of student that we're talking about. So if it's somebody who's really proactive in class, who really loves class discussions, who's, talking to the teacher all year and saying, hey, listen, like, I know I'm in CP and I really want to take honors next year. They're going to know that, and that conversation is going to be ongoing. Generally, the teachers know the kids that need to move up a level or want to move up a level, and they obviously will then recommend them for it. But the students really need to be verbal about their wantingness and desire to be in an honors class. There's going to be kids who obviously always are the quiet ones who may not indicate to the teacher that they want the challenge. A lot of times what we see are parents that want the challenge, not the students themselves. And so, because we're really trying to get kids to advocate for themselves, I would encourage your sons to, let the teachers know, hey, like, I know that I'm in CP, but I really want to be an honors kid. I really want to take AP history. What do I have to do to get there? Teachers want them to work hard, and they want them to want that. So, have them be proactive and have them advocate for themselves. That's always the best way. Can any grade level sign up for the ACT, SAT prep classes? So technically, yes. Generally, we offer it to the juniors first because they're the ones that are taking the tests. And then we go down from there based on the availability. So, last year I had classes with kids that had freshmen in it. It just really depends on the course and the time of year. So technically anyone can take it. But if, obviously 30 juniors sign up, then there's not going to be room for sophomores. That typically doesn't happen. I would say it's probably a 50-50. Like we have, 15 or 17 juniors, and then, maybe 10 sophomores, and then maybe 3 or 4 freshmen. But, certainly there's room for it. Can freshmen do the pre-ACT? So as of right now, it's not set up as such. It's set up for the sophomores and juniors to take it. Typically, it's not really appropriate for freshmen unless they're in a level of math that's like, so, the PSAT tests for algebra, geometry, and algebra 2. So if you don't have those levels of math, it's going to really show in the test. So it's really probably not a great idea. It's a little bit kind of defeating for the student. But if they have the coursework, if they're in algebra 2 coming in as a freshman, well, then certainly that's a different story. But they can also do a lot of prep work at home without actually having to take the actual PSAT. There's a lot of stuff that's online and a lot of resources that you can do. Even on Naviance, there's test prep. On the College Board, there's Khan Academy, which is a free test prep. So we encourage you to do that. I think, if you carve out time every Sunday to look at, some test prep questions, that helps. I remember when I was in high school, my mom used to print questions out from the SAT prep book and leave it on the kitchen table for me to do after breakfast. I hated it, but, it forced me to do it. So I think figure out what works for your sons and try to find something that makes it so it's not like terrible and maybe even a little bit fun. And that tends to, I think, help the situation. Anybody, anything else? No? Okay. So again, my email is E as in Edward, Walter, WALTER @bergencatholic.org. Certainly you can reach out to me via that. Or my assistant, if you'd like to set up a meeting, is Mary Patera, and she's at the front office. So if you call the main number at Bergen, you can reach her and she'd be happy to schedule something for you. If anyone has any questions about their guidance counselor or reaching out to their counselor, certainly let me know. You can send me a message in the private chat. I can let you know who your counselor is. They are a great resource, so I do encourage you to get to know them and to encourage your sons to get to know them, and to, really just anything that they're, struggling with, that's what they're here for. Their goal is obviously to make sure that everyone's adjusting well socially and emotionally. All right. So I am going to end there, but if anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask me privately, please feel free to do that now. Otherwise, I wish you all a wonderful evening, and I thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we will get to meet face-to-face soon. Thank you so much.